could soon be watching your morning fix on board your morning flight. Yes, the Telecom Commission has given the go-ahead for flyers to surf the net and make calls on board the aircraft. As another Dalit man is attacked for riding a horse, we look at why the simple act of mounting a horse is challenging status quo. The Supreme Court Collegium will meet today to reconsider Justice K.M. Joseph's name for elevation. The government will have no option if the Collegium reiterates its stand. Vatican Treasurer Cardinal George Pell will stand trial on multiple counts of historical sexual abuse. And just what is China's problem with a British piglet? Peppa Pig is banned from the country's most popular social media platforms. It's Wednesday, May 2nd. April 2018, Bhilwara, Rajasthan. A Dalit man is brutally attacked and forced off a horse he is riding by upper caste men during a pre-wedding procession. 31st March 2018, Bhavnagar, Gujarat. A Dalit youth is murdered by upper caste men for riding a horse. 16th April 2017, Charki Dadri, Haryana. A Dalit groom is pushed off a horse and his family beaten up by upper caste men. 12th May 2015, Ratlam, Madhya Pradesh. A Dalit groom is attacked with stones and his horse taken away by upper caste men. Why? In 21st century India, you would ask, does a Dalit doing something as mundane as riding a horse result in assault, sometimes murder? Riding a horse, particularly in a wedding procession, is a higher caste marker, so a Dalit groom on a horse is considered by the upper caste to be an affront. The Untouchability in Rural India report, a study undertaken across 565 villages in 11 states, found that the most severely sanctioned public activity is a Dalit marriage procession passing through the village street. Wedding processions, it says, in North India are symbols of joy, prosperity and power and often includes large parties of family and friends accompanied by musical bands and dancing. Dalit wedding processions were banned in more than 47% of villages surveyed. In 2015, on a PIL filed by the Centre for Dalit Rights, the Rajasthan High Court ruled that it was incumbent on the Superintendent of Police, the Circle Officer and the District Magistrate to ensure such cases don't happen. But the social prohibition is not limited to Dalits riding horses. This National Human Rights Commission report details other practices still prevalent in rural India. For instance, members of the untouchable caste are not allowed to pass through the upper caste locality while riding their vehicle. A dead body of an untouchable caste member is never allowed to pass through the main street of the village, especially where the upper caste live. Members of the untouchable caste are not allowed to play musical instruments in their weddings. Untouchables aren't allowed to sport ornaments or goggles or tuck their shirt in, basically dress up in a manner that makes them look like upper caste. The author of the report also recounts that he witnessed an untouchable bank employee would alight from his scooter at the village approach road and then drag the scooter to his house. Similarly, he would drag his scooter from home till outside the village and only then ride it to his office. Sociologists argue that apart from the rise of the educated Dalit in rural areas resulting in increased assertion, it is the 1992 constitutional amendment giving constitutional status to Panchayati Raj institutions and reserving seats for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes that caused increased friction. For this meant that Dalits were now in increased numbers participating in decision-making. Changing societal attitudes is a slow and painful process. Till then, those like Sanjay Jatav in Kasganj, Uttar Pradesh will have to petition authorities for permission, believe it or not, to take his barat through upper caste areas. He won in the end though. Times they are a-changing. The Supreme Court Collegium will meet today to reconsider the name of Justice K.M. Joseph for elevation to the Supreme Court. The government had last week sent back for reconsideration K.M. Joseph's name, stating that there were 11 High Court Chief Justices who were senior to him and none of those courts had representation in the Supreme Court at present. The centre's decision had sparked a controversy because it is KM Joseph, sitting Chief Justice of the Uttarakhand High Court, who had in 2016 quashed the government's decision to impose President's rule in the state. But in an indication that the collegium will counter the centre's decision, Supreme Court Judge Justice Kurian Joseph told the Indian Express, the collegium may have to reiterate its recommendation, furnishing facts and figures and citing precedent which have not been put in perspective by the government when it returned his name. The actual facts will be put up before the government. If that happens, experts say the government will have to accept it and appoint Justice KM Joseph to the Supreme Court. Cardinal George Pell, the Vatican's financial controller and the man third in line to the Pope, is standing trial for multiple sexual offences. The pre-trial process begins today after Melbourne's Magistrate Court ended a 4-week hearing yesterday where 50 witnesses were called to determine if there was enough evidence for the trial. Cardinal Pell pleaded not guilty. Ironically, it was Pell who in 1996, as the Archbishop of Melbourne, created one of the Catholic Church's first formal restitution programs, the Melbourne Response, to deal with sexual assault complaints. He was accused of lack of empathy towards victims and of brushing off charges. Pell was also one of hundreds of people summoned to give evidence during public hearings held by Australia's Royal Commission into Institutional Responses to Child Sex Abuse, which was formed in 2012. The committee received maximum number of complaints against the Catholic Church. Findings include victims' complaints were dismissed, priests were favoured over victims, or moved to other districts where they continued abusing children. The Pope maintains, once justice speaks, I will speak. One of China's most popular social media sites, Douyin, has got a bone to pick. Pick with British cartoon Peppa Pig. The pink frock-wearing cartoon pig, who's wildly popular among Chinese preschoolers, has been blacklisted by the site for being sexually suggestive. No, don't be alarmed. The cartoon is completely harmless. It's Peppa's recent popularity with Chinese adults that has led to memes on her and other characters, which often tend to be sexually suggestive. Chinese state media has said that Peppa has become the subject of, quote, deviance and manipulation among Chinese youth, with explicit fake versions circulating online. Well, Chinese youth, Peppa often says, if you're jumping up and down in muddy puddles, you must wear your boots. Any subversive meanings in that? Dream on while we catch a break and meet you back here tomorrow.